welcome to another video on the channel. In this, instead of a bit of hardcore, I'm going to talk about the 1.17 Caves and Cliffs update in general. And I'm going to try my best to cover every feature and talk about stuff that I like about them and stuff that I would hope would eventually be added for these. So, with tinted glass, I think overall it's a great idea. A block that you can see through, but light can't pass through. Like, it'd be really nice for farms and allow them to be easily tested. And while glass would be known for tinted, or no, not tinted, dyed stuff. While I am slightly disliking of the purple stain on it, I don't think tinted glass would really need dyed versions. I'm okay with it in its current looks, and overall I like it. Copper, I think, should be a sort of alternative to iron in some situations. Like, iron has its own armor and combat slots, and some uses in redstone components, while copper in its current state, it can only be used for lightning rods and the spyglass. If I could change stuff about copper, I would give it its own version of the iron door, trapdoor of it, and also its own weighted pressure plate. I actually don't know too much about these plate stuff, but I think with these, it powers based on the number of entities. Yeah, this would go up to 15. I'm not exactly sure how the heavy one would work, but I think if copper had its own weighted pressure plate, it should probably work up to 24 in a percentage way, so that you could tell whether things have reached their point. And, well, entities will start taking squeeze damage if they are in an area with more than 22 mobs. So a way to detect that would be really helpful. So that's what I would do with copper. Oh, and another thing that I would kind of change about copper is in its inventory, it has quite a lot of variants and even cut copper. However, what I don't like about it is that only the cut version of copper gets its own slabs and stairs. Walls, I'm honestly not too bothered about with copper, but I would give the regular copper blocks slabs and stairs as well, just because I really like the texture. And please remove that Catapult K. It's been in these snapshots for a while now, Mojang. And next would be the dripstone block. And honestly, I'm not exactly sure what could be added to this block. Like, I suppose you could make a polished version of it, so that you could somewhat use it in decoration, but I'm honestly not sure. I'd say looks alone, this doesn't look very good. Uh, but if you, for some reason, you wanted to make a karst landscape, then this would possibly be good. Maybe I would just add a polished version of this and give both slabs and stairs. And maybe with these, the stalagmites and stalactites, maybe it'd be possible if one of these were to land on. If you have one of these pointed dripstones above, and the dropstone would fall onto another block below, they could form more of these blocks, and you could actually use these to craft more of the blocks, therefore making these renewable. Next is the amethyst. Oh yeah, one other thing that I would change about dripstone is I kind of like the one of the stages of this. Let's see if I can. Yeah, this one, where it's really tall. One thing that I would do is allow you to right-click the tip of this with a pickaxe to change it to a shorter one. Because in the current biome of this these would occasionally form on their own, and I think that's a bug, so I'd want to make these intentional if I could. And allow you to have more decoration with these. Copper isn't really renewable currently, so maybe you'd be able to buy a copper ingot for an emerald with villagers. Perhaps maybe in the mason. One use that I would give to crystals is allow you to craft them into a special block that you could use to direct beacons and use their beams in decoration. But also make a sort of limit to how far the beams could go that direction, for example. Just so it doesn't cause lag and whatever. I think the amethyst block shouldn't really be a final use for these. Like, crystals only have about 3 uses, and that's the tinted glass, these blocks, and the spyglass. And maybe with a stone cutter, you could change these into a more pretty block, similar looking to diamond blocks, and make slabs and stairs with those as well. Next is these blocks. I'm perfectly happy with candles, by the way. Calcite, I think it's fine on its own as a decorative block. Maybe just give it slabs and stairs as well. There was a screenshot that Lady Agnes had posted showing the lush caves, but also with these as part of a diorite blob, so at least these are somewhat renewable. Tuff, we don't really have any confirmation if it's renewable yet, and I think I would make these able to be found in possibly the basalt deltas biomes, and maybe also occasionally forming blobs. One change I would make to the bundles is allow them to stack 2 stacks of an item instead of just 1. And with the skulk growths, I would make them be able to be placed directionally, like upside down on a wall, because in the deep dark, I don't think these growths should just be on the floor, and maybe also on the walls where they could harvest bats. Because one of the blocks of these skulk growths seems to be a trap or have teeth on it. So I'm guessing that's how these things are fed. I'm a fan of the cauldron stuff, like more uses for it. I think one thing I would just change is like not have these classified as blocks, like different blocks, but have them classified as regular cauldrons, so I could pick them up with the middle mouse button. I like how we have renewable lava now as well. The powder snow, well, I think it. I think overall, I don't like how just one piece of lever completely stops it. I think if I could, I would make it use the system that was tried before but was bugged, where each consecutive bit of leather you were wearing would slowly stop it from freezing you. Next is the axolotl, and I think these guys are cute overall, and just one change I would make to them is allow them to spawn in warm oceans instead of just the lush caves. Because I feel like the caves alone wouldn't make sense for a creature that's supposed to eat fish. I like how the shulker boxes are now renewable as well. But it's going to be quite chaotic that now, when these things are destroyed, they drop everything. Like, by destroy, I mean, if you throw them into lava, where they would normally be melted, they now drop everything beforehand, which is supposed to help with the any netherite stuff you have in there, but it could also be a potential lag problem now that people could use for malicious things. The Warden is easily one of the most exciting things in this update as well. My one main concern about the Warden, though, is how will it pathfind across such a unique terrain? Like, if you were to bring it to a new area, then how would it know how to get across that to get you? Because the Wardens are blind, so they would have to use vibrations to get you. Maybe when they scream at you after annoying them, they sort of use echolocation, like apparently bats do, to find you and use the terrain. But other than those concerns, I'm perfectly happy with the Warden. The archaeological brushes, I feel like, should have two separate uses. In the clip that was shown at Minecon Live, there was a orangish one and a blue one. Which, I'm presuming the orangish one is copper. Anyway, I feel like these two variants should have two separate uses. Like, the way they're used is, if you find somewhere that seems to have relics buried within these blocks, you can use the brush to remove these blocks while slowly taking away layers and revealing the object within. However, it was confirmed that you can't use it to leave the layers like that. But I think it should be possible to do that with one of these variants, just because it could be huge for building. And I'm overall happy with the mountain goats. I just don't like how currently in the beta, where we have access to these goats, they occasionally just jump around because they feel like it. I think they should only do that if they're trying to get across a cave or a ravine, or just overall get into a high place. The squid overall, I feel like, is a forgotten mob in Minecraft. And by forgotten, I mean, like, overall neglected by the team. Like, some changes I would make to the squid, and presumably the glow squid as well, is make them have proper pathfinding, because these guys just end up on the beach very often, and allow seagrass to make these guys breed. I haven't looked up how exactly yet these guys are supposed to breed, but there's probably something in the game that would allow you to do that. And I think overall, the glow squid should drop something that would allow you to light up regular blocks, or make a flashlight that you could use in the deep dark. I think also the powder snow should have an advancement for when you successfully collect it from a bucket. Because then people who are playing the game blind would be able to know how to get powder snow. I think biomes should also sometimes have things hidden in the blocks. Like, not just archaeological sites. In a desert where the fossil structure could be found, maybe in some of the sand you should find bones if for some reason you wanted to use a brush there. I'm perfectly happy with the way the geodes are mostly. I'm not exactly sure why some geodes form with a gap throughout them, but I presume that is natural for geodes in real life. I kind of like the way dripstone caves generate, but one change I would make is allow dripstone caves near the surface to create karst landscapes above. Because here in Ireland, we have a lot of limestone, which is most famous for dripstone areas. And on the surface, there's occasionally a bit of grass, but it's mostly just these blocks and barely anything else. A few gaps in between these. So if you were to find a plains biome and you see lots of dripstone on the surface, then it would show that you're above a dripstone cave. Next I want to talk about is the lush caves. And these probably have the most variety in items. I like the idea of the azalea trees being found above the lush caves. And I think the azalea leaves should actually blossom over the course of a few days, then eventually unblossom. One thing I don't like though is I don't think it would make sense for the trees to be completely square like one of the screenshots was showing. I love the idea of the spore blossom and the drip leaf plant though. Plus I think the glowberries should give you the glowing effect, but also be used in brewing to allow you to create potions of the glowing effect. And this moss could be really helpful in decoration. Next, let's talk about the Deep Dark. And my main hopes for the Deep Dark is that its cave generation will be completely narrow caves, like a sort of maze of them, but still big enough for a warden to walk around through them. As it would really give the sense that there's not much escape from the warden if it detects you. And one other thing I'm curious about the Deep Dark is how exactly would you benefit from going here other than getting the skulk stuff? Because supposedly there's supposed to be a lot of loot down in the Deep Dark, but chances are by the time you're down there, you already have netherite at least. So, other than enchanted golden apples, I don't really see what loot would be worth going down into the deep dark for. The the mountain revamp I'm quite happy with as well. I think if the world height is going to be increased, then it would make sense for the mountains to potentially go really high if the biome is big enough for them. And overall, those are my thoughts on the 1.17 cave update. Hope you enjoyed. Share and subscribe. See ya.